Welcome everyone to Meditation Town Hall with Lama Surya Das. I'm so happy you're able to join us today. As we're waiting for Lama to join us, please take a moment and look at the announcement on the screen. There's a day-long virtual meditation retreat happening at the end of the month, April 30th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or I guess Eastern Daylight Time right now. It's titled Enhancing Our Spiritual Practice, Coping with Changing Times. And so that'll be at the end of the month on Saturday, April 30th. And we'll just take a little time here to wait for Lama to show up and get started. Thanks for joining.
Good morning, everybody. And what a beautiful day it is. Spring has sprung in New England. We're lucky here. We have 4 beautiful seasons. The baseball season, the football season, all the seasons, which are all one in like April and May, all going at one time. So I don't really have time to do this today, so I'm gonna excuse myself and go and catch up on the March Madness that's been going on. And tonight is the Women's Championship. Anyway, we're having fun here. Entitled Town, as somebody has called it, trying to compete with New York as usual and show that Boston is better, or at least as good. So there's a lot going on in the world, and we're not going to dwell on that, more serious stuff. We all know about the tragedy of Ukraine, dare I say, Russian aggression. I hate to take sides from the pulpit. A lot to think about, our own domestic politics and, dare I say, corruption. But anyway, the spirit reigns. Spirit is sovereign. The Dharma is timeless and boundaryless. I feel very grateful and fortunate to have this in my life, and all of you, and I suspect you feel similarly. I wouldn't want to put words in your mouth, but so grateful and fortunate to be able to take refuge, to find solace, to have a moment of genuine peace and serenity anytime that I want to tune into it. And I hope you can say the same. I know it's not a small thing. Some people tell me they have a hard time meditating. That's really not what I'm talking about. But to know that there's something more than the sunlight and shadow on the many mountain peaks of the vacillating graph of our outer and worldly life. That there's a deeper source of refuge, solace, reliance, whatever you want to call it. I hate to use ordinary words that get confusing, like security. But I appreciate, like the great Master Thich Nhat Hanh said, solid. We're afraid of these words, but they're also important. How about stability? Something we can count on. Refuge means reliable, not relying on the impermanent things of this world, outer things or inner just feelings and vacillations of emotions and so on. The vagaries of experience. but we can be deeper people, live in our hara, our spiritual center. We don't get knocked off of so easily, like the 5 foot tall Tai Chi master in Kyoto, in Japan, where I lived in the mid-70s, taught English and studied Zen. I couldn't knock him over, and he was always showing the class how easy it was for him to knock me over. It was very amusing. I was his guinea pig, being such a giant as well as a foreigner. Where is our spiritual center? And I don't mean the address or what town it's in. And can we find alignment? Can we stop for a moment? If you like, take a breath. Can we stop and take a breath and step off the treadmill of conditioning, staggering forward under the momentum, the baggage of habit and conditioning, and as if life is a to-do list, and tune more into being, just as a balance to doing. We don't have to stop doing everything forever, but can we ever just stop and just be? Of course, we all have our moments in life, so we know what it is. Yet it's hard to recall that sometimes when we're caught up with things, isn't it? So I'm just so grateful and feel so fortunate. And I'm going to keep saying I, so I don't, talk for you, but I think I can see many of you, I know you, and you come here regularly, and you have a solid spiritual practice ongoing for years. This is a very meaningful, if not the most meaningful part of our life. Of course, we could say we love our children more than anything in the world, or whatever we say. But every parent knows what happens when the children gets launched and goes away. We're still left with ourselves or our mate, whatever. We're still left with ourselves, for best and for worst, because that's life. You can't rely on children to make you happy, even if they are the best treasure in the world. But the spiritual treasure, that's what we're talking about. The true refuge, the true alliance. It doesn't really matter what we call it, the high words, the placeholders, like God or Buddha. I take refuge in Buddha. When I take a breath and drop everything and just be, that's taking refuge in Buddha in the very deepest or deep sense. Buddha has no form and gender, religion, or nationality, obviously. So today we get together to raise the spirit, to commune, to practice, to cultivate awareness together, to meditate together, to put it square, simple, easy to understand. Some of us to meditate together. I won't mention any names to protect the guilty. Guilt is not really a big part of Buddhism, maybe except for the Jubu wing. I don't know. I'm not really there. We're more interested in the now than the past. And I don't want to call it looking forward into the future. How about just, as the Zen master says, keep your head on your shoulders and out of any dark places it shouldn't be in. I'll leave the imagination to you, what he's talking about. You don't have to add another head on top of your head, or put a crown on, or change your hairstyle. As they say, the robes don't make the saint, the clothes don't make the man or woman or other. So when we're left with ourselves, as usual in life, we're born, as they say, alone, we die alone. Just to talk about existential situation, of course, many of us are born with happy people around, as well as busy medical helpers. And we die with our beloveds around, whether they're happy or not, less important than loved. But who are we when we're alone, in our inner time, if there is any? Perhaps when we're in bed at night and can't fall asleep, or early in the morning, or during the day, of course, who are we really, and what's our go-to mode? Do we reach for our wrist mala or our around the neck beads and say some mantras or pray explicitly? Do we just cultivate awareness? Cultivation, bhavana is the key word in Buddhism we don't hear enough about. Not praying for loving kindness or wisdom, but cultivating loving kindness. That's what Buddha said. Not praying for mindfulness, cultivating mindfulness. That's what Buddha taught. So cultivating awareness. And in a sense, to put it in English, as Gurdjieff said, as Ram Dass said, as people who spoke English said, I think Gurdjieff spoke English, doesn't matter. He may have said it in French. Cultivating ourselves, working on ourselves. Gurdjieff called it the work with capital letters. Ram Dass called it working with ourselves, working on ourselves, refining ourselves physically, mentally, intellectually, emotionally, relationally, spiritually. That's the great work. That's the great journey of enlightenment. I'm not talking about pie in the sky and whether nirvana is the same as heaven, as if you're being paid to be a theologian. As Trungpa Rinpoche, the great Buddhist pioneer Chogyam Trungpa said, who still has books coming out 40 years after his death. That's how great his teaching energy is. As Trungpa said, well, that's like dancing on books. Why dance on books unless you're getting paid for it? He was a rascal, and he was very right, also a real iconoclast and a seer. So we get together in the spirit in this beautiful day. It's Sunday, a day of rest, and take rest from our normal, dare I say, worldly or just quotidian pedestrian activities, and work on ourselves, not our egos. Yes, eroding our egotism, but not just thinking only of ourselves, but working on our best selves, the best selves we can be. Self with a capital S, our divine nature, our highest self, our better selves. To become better people, contribute to a better world. When I become clearer, everything becomes clearer. When we're more in or identified with or coming from our best self, all our relations are changed and transformed for the better. Even with our critics or enemies or adversaries, maybe we'll even reach reconciliation, forgiveness, collaboration, and union again. These are challenging times, admittedly. We have a day-long coming up April 30th about coping with these challenging times. I hope you'll join us. I've been thinking a lot about it. I've been teaching about it somewhat. Yes, of course, I have a list of 10 pointers, but we'll talk. There'll also be plenty of time for interactivity, for Q&A, and so on. So today, it's Sunday. Let's go into the light. Let's lighten up and brighten up. Let's begin with a little breathing, relaxing, and smiling. As always, let ourselves arrive. Move into the practice portion of this Sunday town hall. Take a breath. Take a breather. Breathe, smile, and relax, as I like to say. Some journalists said, "You sound like a simpleton when you said that." I said, "I don't mind, but simple is different than simpleton." That's the idea. And we've become so complex, it's almost impossible to untangle the complexities of our world and our problems. When we empty out, when we open up, when we simplify our life or unclutter our schedule, make a big difference. We can see the sky and the horizon again. We breathe easier. Check it out. as above, so below. If our head, schedule, house, closets, basement, garage, I'm just looking around here, are all cluttered and full and stuffed, so we can't even park our car in the garage, or as one of my sister-in-laws said, her husband had to move out because the house was so full of stuff, and he got his own apartment where he didn't have almost anything. He looked like a graduate student, even though he was the director of housing in Louisville. If our life is that overflowing with stuff that we can't even get to open the boxes to see what's inside, we might want to stop and take a breath and look again what we need and don't need, what appointments, what connections we need or don't need, or how many people we still need to send Christmas cards out to, or whatever our clutter is. There's a difference between responsibility and obligation. We're responsible for our children and loved ones. We're not obligated to stay in touch with everybody who wants to. As my nephew once said, "Oh, Uncle Jeffrey, I have 8,000 friends." This is in the early days of Facebook, I guess. I said, "Oh, wow. I thought I had a lot of friends, but I actually know my friends." He said he went to a rave one New Year's Eve that came out of that, list of 8,000 friends. There was about 1,000 people there that he didn't know. He said he wished he had gone with one of his personal friends because he was a little lonely there and anxious in the midst of his 1,000 Facebook friends in person. It's so easy to get confused today by the new media, the new ways of getting together. Even this, I'm sure, I think I said last Sunday about how we were meditating with Anam Rinpoche and thinking, what a great meditator. Look, he sits like a rock for hour after hour, but it was just because the computer screen had frozen over an hour ago. He was long gone, and we were still sitting there looking at his image. It's confusing, this life, in so many ways, and it always has been. Don't think it was easier when people lived in teepees. What did they do in the winter? Maybe you've seen pictures. It ain't pretty. What was their infant mortality rate or their lifespan? And pretty. So these days we have made a lot of progress. On the other hand, the existential situation of dealing with life and death, families, dynamics, groups, which leads to politics, hasn't changed that much probably. Somebody, a Buddhist teacher, said recently, the mind hasn't changed in a few thousand years the way the mind we're dealing with. It takes many millennium for that to happen. So Buddha's prescription for letting go and letting be is still extremely helpful. Panaceum, almost. Check it out. So breathing, relaxing, smiling, arriving. It doesn't sound like much, but we ain't simpletons. We're dummies if we don't know how to do it because we've become so sophisticated, about 20 years of schooling, mostly mental schooling and other things. There are so many other intelligences we could be cultivating when we work on ourselves. Kinds of intelligence, well elaborated by sociologists and thinkers, including emotional intelligence, of course. So breathing, relaxing, smiling. Be here now sounds good. We're always here now. Where else could we be? But we fool ourselves. The now is getting a little old and overused. I think we need a new now. Just be. That will take care of here and now. Where else could we be? Ever? Awakeful, aware, attentive, interested, curious even. Buddha called it the interest factor, one of the factors of mindfulness, being interested. Every moment, new, fresh, like Little Nakey that just visited us. What a blessing. Children and pets can teach us a lot about the now. I've noticed, even pull us into it now and then in the best way. What a relief, what a release. Letting go of the baggage of the past, whatever our stories and narratives are, who caused what happened, why. Just for now, letting go of that, letting go of the fantasies of the future, which has not yet happened, it might not even go the way we're imagining. Incandescently present, interested, like children, everything is new. They're a learning machine. Well before they can read, they understand so much even before they can talk. We all know this. We've been there. Enjoy the fresh, pure, virgin snow of this moment. Awareness before any tracks of animal thoughts or feelings. Not that white is right, but white is bright. All the colors are bright. Just the virgin snow of this moment before tracks are laid, are made. Eye gazing, sky gazing, open, aware. This is the Dzogchen practice, not just being a simpleton, just breathing, counting, breaths, that's fine. We're concentrating, but how about being? Coming back to ens, to just being, the essence, to the fundament, upstream from selfing, from congealing into any position or reference point. This is deep doo-doo. Get into it. It's rich. Eye gazing, sky gazing, space mingling, decontracting. Ego is like a sphincter. Don't be an a-hole. Release. Don't be a constipated walking encyclopedia. Know it all. All resources are flow, shared by all. Why hoard them, including your own knowledge and thoughts? Just let it go. Enjoy the show. It's the best show, the only show in town. I'm not joking. Enjoy this, all the projections on the silver screen of emptiness, all of our projections. Empowerment, Galatia, nature and nurture. See through. Be through. Put it all. Be free. Nothing more to do, figure out, or achieve. It's the natural. This is natural. Just truck it effortlessly down the path, the great highway of awakening. How sweet it is. And it's the natural great perfection of Dzogchen. I love it. Thank you. Thank you, masters of lineage. Thank you, Sangha, spiritual comrades. Thank you. Not my will, but thine. Oh, Karma, oh Lord. Awareness with a capital A plus, just being with a capital B plus. See? This breath, this moment, only moment. Imho, Eureka, Swaha, Hallelujah, Amen. Wondrous, wonderful, amazing. Imho, way to go. Ah, just breathing out. We've been inhaling and trying to accumulate things and grow for all of our years, it looks like. How about just breathing out now for a few minutes or hours or days? Metaphorically speaking, even while you're inhaling, breathing out, letting go, releasing, emptying out, uncluttering. Let the flow through you. Try to collect it in bottles. Here you go. Tao now. Open, aware, lucid, luminous, present. What words can encompass it? Incandescently present, attentive, interested, naked awareness, pure presence, with a capital P, as no room to take over. Innate wakefulness, not personal consciousness. That's just part of it. Innate wakefulness, natural. great completeness of things just as they are. Let go. Down. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 May all beings be happy and well. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Mantra 3. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. May all beings be awakened, liberated, and free. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 May there be peace and harmony in this world. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Love for all beings, for our own family, who want and need same as we do. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Compassion for all, feeling with them, empathizing, sympathizing, resonating together, and being moved to help. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Love for all beings, including oneself, self-compassion, self-acceptance. Om Shanti, peace, harmony, tolerance, acceptance, patience, forbearance. Om Shanti, peace, peace, peace. And I bow to the Buddha, the light, the divine, the God, goddess in your seat. Don't overlook them. Rob, could we see the page with Kempo's dedication prayer and the Millennium prayer, please? It's in the Dzogchen prayer book, if anybody has that in front of them, toward the back. Dzogchen Center prayer book. Thank you, buddy. Through the merit and positivity from this virtuous practice, may the light of the Buddha's enlightened teachings remain for ages to come, the basis for every kind of benefit and happiness, worldly and otherwise. May all the supreme holders of the teachings who uphold this living truth accept or agree to live on for aeons, and their feet remain firm in this world. And so may the sun of altruism and well-being, that is bodhicitta, in all its blazing splendor, shine the brilliant light of the study and practice of Buddha Dharma throughout every corner of the universe. and the New Millennium Prayer. May all beings everywhere with whom we are inseparably interconnected and who want and need the same as we do, may all be awakened, liberated, healed, fulfilled, safe, and free. May there be peace and harmony in this world, and an end to war and violence, poverty and hunger, inequality and oppression, greed and cruelty, pandemics, famine, drought, earthquakes, all kinds of natural disasters. May we be free from fear, harm, danger, anxiety, and insecurity. And may we all together complete this gorgeous spiritual journey all the way home. One beloved community, one satsang, one circle, one sangha, one family, one beloved community, all the way home. This is how I pray every day. Please join me, if you wish, in these sterling prayers, wishes, and aspirations. So much depends on intention and motivation in this world. So we were chanting the Six Syllable Mantra, the Dalai Lama's mantra, the mantra of great compassion and love, Om Mani Padme Hum, and radiating love and compassion, joy, mercy, forgiveness, equal to all, and equanimity equal to all, without partiality or favoritism, and making the well wishes, technically known as resolves, the well wishes, may all be happy, may all be peaceful, from the Metta Sutta, the Maitri Sutra in Sanskrit. Metta is in the Pali language of ancient India. Maitri is Sanskrit, meaning loving kindness, wishing well for others, loving kindness, or friend also includes friendliness and taking a friendly interest. You can look it up. It's a beautiful ancient word, Maitri, as in Maitreya, the Buddha to come, so-called Buddha of love. Maitri, again, loving kindness includes love. And we cultivate this wishing well for others state of mind, not just pray for it. Again, bhavana, a key term in Buddhism, cultivation. Cultivating mindfulness, cultivating loving kindness, cultivating ethics, spiritual character development, moral self-discipline, cultivating patience and forbearance, etc. Thus, the word we use is practice usually. What practice do you do? What is your spiritual practice? How do you cultivate, refine the spirit? Your Dharma practice. Bhavana, cultivation, very important. When we cultivate loving kindness, compassion, vicarious joy, and equanimity or equal to all, the four Brahma Viharas, the four faces of Buddha's love, the four heartitudes, as I call them, the four boundless, the four immeasurables, they're called, all these things, the four divine abodes, because that's how the gods abide, that's how they roll. When we cultivate these four Brahma Viharas, these four immeasurable qualities or virtues, we should not leave out ourselves. Wishing all beings be happy could even begin with, as in some Theravadan traditions, with wishing yourself be happy. So self-compassion, self-love, self-acceptance, self-patience is built into it, and even explicitly. In the Mahayana, we usually say, may all beings be happy. In some of the Theravadan sutras, it begins before that with how can they, we wish happiness for others if we don't know what happy is, if we're unhappy. So beginning with self-love or self-compassion, cultivating that. But how? So, I don't teach loving kindness all the time. I mean, we always chant that and practice that, but everybody's talking about metta in Western Dharma for the last 50 years. And the Metta Mav, the West, Sharon Salzberg, has written books on it and others have followed. But I do want to make one point here that we don't hear enough about. When I learned to practice it in India with, yes, Sharon and I had the same metta teacher, Goenka, founder of the 10-day mindfulness and loving kindness courses. Yes, we had the same Tibetan teachers also, Kala Rinpoche, Khyentse Rinpoche, Tukur again, etc. We learned to cultivate metta with ourselves in the middle of a circle of all beings. Now, that's a daunting task because we don't even know how many there are. We might be know-it-alls, we'll say there's 7 billion or there's 8 billion on Earth now, but who even knows what that number means? And it might be 7.5 billion. But you don't have to go through, you don't have to collect everyone and know what they're wearing today or how tall they are. Just, a picture of like your parents and grandparents and brothers and friends and, instructors and neighbors and whoever's in your zeitgeist, in your mind, whatever it is, politicians, animals and pets in the circle. You're also in the circle, wishing well to the person in the middle of the circle who's you. Are you with me? That's the secret. We have some high-tech media here to share. Circle. We're in the circle facing inward, wishing well, loving kindness to this person, which is oneself. So let's just pick on somebody here I usually don't mention and I don't know. Hi, look. It's hard to find somebody I don't really know. Okay, Jonathan Frank. Hey, Jonathan. May John, here's Jonathan's practice. I'm Jonathan. May Jonathan Frank, may I be happy, may I be peaceful, may I be liberated, may I be enlightened and free, or may Jonathan, however you do it. And Jonathan's also in the circle. So this widens one's scope. All of a sudden, you're not just identified as Jonathan Frank may be, I don't know, poor guy, with his miserable, narrative and, self-image, or for that matter, his great, prideful, magnificent, splendiferous self-image. He's also just one of the metta warriors, one of the metta bodhisattvas wishing loving kindness and compassion. May Jonathan experience that, develop it, and so on. You with me? So without getting lost in the ideas of how hard it might be to visualize, which it isn't, we all know how to have an image in mind, but just the circle, and we're wishing well on ourselves who's in the middle of the circle. It's not that hard. I'm sure you can all imagine yourselves at your favorite vacation place right now, even though you're sitting wherever you are, let's say at home. It's not that hard. It's not schizophrenic. It's a great practice. Even recently, I've been doing this since the early 1970s, with Sharon. We learned in 1970 or 71 with Mr. Goenka in retreat in India that we did many times over there. And then Kala Rinpoche and, all the different masters who teach Chenrezig practice, Om Mani Padme Hung, loving kindness. But how to observe yourself, not become dissociated or what did I just say? Schizophrenic. That would be contraindicated. I won't mention any names. Don't go there. Just joking. So even the other day, after, I don't know, it sounds silly saying this. It's certainly not boasting, because after 50 years, I wouldn't mind being more, metta-like Sharon is, and equal to all like Sharon, and have no wrinkles like Sharon from having so much loving kindness and few resentments and worries like Sharon. My mother used to say, what kind of meditation does Sharon do? She has no wrinkles at her age. I want to know that meditation. So everybody comes to the Dharma for different reasons. In fact, Buddha himself said having no wrinkles was one of the 11 qualities you get from metta. I know you think I'm joking. Of course, he didn't say wrinkles. He said, when you practice metta, your face will be shining and smooth, and because there'll be less anger, so your face won't be like a scorched shrimp. Think about that, a scorched shrimp, all wrinkly and crinkly and scorchy, burnt, whatever, toasty. So even after doing this for 40 or 50 years, and admittedly, it's not my main practice, it's probably Sharon's main practice. That's why she's so wonderful and also has no wrinkles at her age, which is my age almost exactly. We were in college together in Buffalo. After doing it all these years, even a week or two ago, I had this kind of insight or realization. I was like in the circle, wishing well to Surya, is how I call myself, not Lama Surya Das or something, wishing well to Surya. And I realized it was like intuitive. It was like unbelievable. All the things that people have said about me, all the nice things people said about me or felt about me over 50 years. I don't just mean as the Lama teacher reputation. Like my college roommate thought I had a sweet nature, which I never knew when I was growing up, being a 5-sport jock. All these things I realized, like Surya was actually like that. It was like I had a loving appreciation for myself that I never had before. I heard all these things from all these people around, not even necessarily, in a linear fashion. You with me? So even by doing this, by having a perspective on Surya, like all these people, and I didn't even go into detail about who was saying what. I realized, and I'm talking about myself to make it like practical and personal. You need to do this on yourself. You get a whole different perspective on yourself by wishing yourself well, along with all your other well wishers in life, right in that moment. And the one in the middle also wishing well to the well wishers, the circle. So it's mutually reciprocal, like breathing in and breathing out. Like when you're with your lover, you're breathing in and breathing out together. You don't have to practice synchronizing, and nobody's counting. And there's no getting out of order because it's not regimented. And you forget all about it. And you don't know if you're in the circle or in the middle of the circle, which is so true of how we exist alone together in this world. So I never really talked about this part of the practice before very much. I hope it came out fairly clear. I'm going to stand behind what I said. I like what I said. There was a few loose words in there, but practice being one of people in the circle, and also beings, animals, everybody, and also being in the middle of the circle and receiving that. It's for some people, especially if we're codependent or have other kind of condition neurosis, then it's easier to give than to receive. This is a great way to learn to receive love and practice self-love and self-compassion without falling into narcissism or selfishness. This is part of the Metta Sutra. Look it up. So I was hoping to receive some questions today or talk about some questions, but I think we're running out of time. I don't know. Do we have one burning good question, Rob, that's landed in your chat box?
No, sorry, Lama. Doesn't look like we have any questions right now, and we only have a minute left. So,
well, wishing well to everyone. May you all, we're all seekers. So having questions is probably important. Not everybody is equally intellectual. So, you might question in other ways, like physical or by using your hands in different, crafts or in the earth. But seeking is part of finding, definitely. And again, being part of the whole as well as the individual, healthy, adult, self-accepting, self-loving, self-compassionate person. Very important. There's a wonderful book. It was kind of groundbreaking in a way. It was kind of obvious, but nobody had talked about it much, by Chris Germer. called Self-Compassion with a hyphen. Check it out. He's a Buddhist teacher and a psychologist, therapist. Self-Compassion, wonderful, by Chris Gurman. Thank you all, and wishing you well. Wishing others well is loving kindness. It's a great practice. Wow, wishing others well, including ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Lama.
Thank you, Lama.
Thanks to all of you for joining us today. I'd like to encourage you to come to our masterclass next Saturday. It's on the screen, date, time, and how to register. Just so that you know, moving forward, the Saturdays that we have events, which are all on our website, zogen.org, there will be no town hall on Sunday. So next Sunday, we will not have town hall. We hope that you will all join us for the masterclass. This is the last one of this series, and they will start up again in September. So check out the website for all that we're doing. So thank you for joining us today, and hope to see you on Saturday. Have a great day, everyone.